Hello everybody and welcome to the channel Crossing the Spiritual Streams. My name is Tandra and today we're going to start a new series on tarot card reading. We're going to go over tarot card basics, the meanings, a little bit about how you read them, that kind of thing, and it's going to be a series, and today we'll just kind of talk about some general info, history, that kind of thing. Now before we get started, I just would love for you all to subscribe to the channel. It is free. And also when you do that, if you hit the bell icon, you can be notified of any future videos. So when the future videos for this or any other videos for the channel come out, you'll be notified of them. Also, if you like the videos, giving them a thumbs up really helps out the channel, and that's really great. Also, share with your friends and family and let them know that these videos are out there. Check out our other videos on the channel. We have actual pick-a-card tarot readings as well as videos on some other topics that you might be interested in. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, there will be a link in the description to PayPal. So let's get started. Okay, we're just going to talk about some just general information and do a quick history. A lot of people think that tarot cards originally were at least more popular, or they know that they were around in Italy sometime in the late 14th or early 15th centuries, but they were actually a bridge game. They weren't mystical, and it was called tarocchi. But then later on in 1781, they took on a more mystical air to them because of somebody named Antoine Count de Gébelin. Don't pronounce French very well. But basically he connected the cards to ancient Egypt and gave them a more mystical type meaning, and they started being used a little bit more for mystical arts that way. Whoops. Okay, then in 1791, the first tarot deck was actually used for divination. They actually created one that was used for that purpose. And then later on, so throughout the rest of the 1800s and all, they became more widely used. And in the early 1900s, they became exceptionally popular in America. A lot of spiritualist type practices became very popular in America at that time, and using tarot cards for divination was one of those things. So in 1909, the Waite-Smith deck was created, and that was actually created by A.E. Waite and Pamela Coleman Smith. She did the artwork for them. They're typically known as the Rider-Waite deck or the Rider-Waite-Smith deck because Rider's the actual publisher of them. And so those are the most common tarot cards that you will see, or a lot of people will create their own tarot cards based on those cards. Some people call them starter tarot decks, that kind of thing. But the symbolism that's involved in them, a lot of people take that symbolism and carry it forward if they create new decks. There are literally thousands of decks out there, and many people have created their own. Also, between 1938 and 1943, Aleister Crowley, who was a very famous, he was kind of into the dark arts and those kinds of things, he created a deck of tarot cards called the Thoth Tarot deck. Here's some examples of early tarot cards. As you can see, these kind of look a little bit like woodcut kind of prints. You know, they're simple drawings. But they all have symbolisms in them and all, like modern tarot decks do. This is an example of a Rider-Waite deck, and this is the Major Arcana, and this shows you the type of symbolism involved that they used. This is another example of an earlier deck. As you can see, they look a lot like regular playing cards, just a really old version. Earlier on, and also some of the symbolism that was carried forward to the Rider-Waite deck was used as well. This is an example of some of the cards from the Thoth Tarot deck that Aleister Crowley created. As you can see, he has he has very vibrant colors, but he also has kind of disturbing images. The way everything's written, it's just a little bit more dark, a little bit more I don't know, esoteric maybe, you might think. So it's a little different style. Okay, we're just going to discuss a few basic facts on tarot. Basically, most tarot decks are divided into the major and the minor arcana. Okay, the minor arcana is divided into 4 suits, just like regular playing cards. And they have 14 cards per suit rather than the typical 13 in a regular playing card deck. They are numbered 1 through 10, and then they also contain a page, knight, queen, and king. So basically the page or the knight could symbolize the jack in a regular deck, and then the other one's kind of an extra card. The suits are wands, which correspond to clubs in a regular playing card deck. Swords, which correspond to spades. Cups, which corresponds to the hearts deck, and then coins, which corresponds to the diamonds. Okay, so some people actually use playing cards for divination purposes, and that's kind of how they divide those up. Okay, and this is an example of some different cards from the different suits that are out there. There's the Two of Pentacles, and typically most tarot decks will have whatever it is that they're symbolizing. Like pentacles, they'll have, if it's the 2, they'll have 2, if it's the 5, they'll have 5, that kind of thing. And then there's usually other symbolism involved in the card that might help divine the meaning behind the card or some other things like that. And that's true for all of the suits. Sometimes you'll get a deck that will just have the symbol on it and the number, and then just a person on it or some other symbol on it, but that's it. So it just depends. But most of the time they'll have 2 or 3 or 5 or 6 or whatever of the particular symbol. So there's a pentacle, a cup, a wand, and a sword. And then usually they'll tell you what number it is. A lot of times it's in Roman numerals, sometimes it's not. Okay. Now there's 22 major arcana cards. And the major arcana cards by some people are actually believed to kind of be a symbolism of every man or humans on their journey through life in pursuit of ultimate enlightenment, or possibly through their journey through life on the way to death in the higher realms. And so basically, and that's represented by the Fool, which is called the Fool in the deck. He's got a number 0. That's the Everyman, and it goes all the way through. And the other cards in the other 21 cards are supposed to represent people and situations that they meet along the way. And so you can see that in here where you've got the Fool. We have early cards: the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, and the Hierophant. All kind of represent your learning, your knowledge, higher powers that are above you, people that are in charge of your life or would give you spiritual knowledge or worldly knowledge, that kind of thing. And then you get on to the Lovers, which, at some point in your life, you might take on a mate or somebody else that you can go through life with in a journey. Then you also have cards like Chariot, Strength, that kind of thing, which just kind of shows you along your journey also when you're at the height of where you can where you learn your strength, you go on your journey. But then you get to the Hermit card, where you might want to have more inner reflections, reflect on what you've done up to this point, gain a little bit more inner knowledge, that kind of thing. And then that also leads to the Wheel of Fortune, Justice, the Hanged Man, and the Death card, which kind of are, that different things happen throughout life, represented by the Wheel of Fortune. You get justice, or, based on what, you've done so far throughout your life, or what, other people, might get justice, or you might see about life being fair or unfair, that kind of thing. And then also the Hangman, where you might be at a point where you're ready to see things from a new light or look at things from a different angle because you have all this experience so far. And then the Death card usually means that you're now ready for a big change. Something is going to end. This kind of phase of your life is now ready to end, and you're ready to go on to the next phase. And then that gets you to Temperance, the Devil, the Tower cards, which are kind of the precursor to reaching your higher levels of enlightenment. They're also more towards death, maybe, or getting more towards that portion of your life where a lot of things happen, that kind of thing. Also, it's not just moving through life. It also, could just mean different points of your life, so they don't have to go in order either that way as far as that goes. But then we do get on to the Star, the Moon, the Sun card, which now represents a little bit more of upper level enlightenment, not just worldly things now, because now we're getting into the heavens and the things that are out there beyond ourselves, beyond our worldly thoughts and feelings. And then that also gets us to judgment, which is similar to the justice, but now it's more of a higher judgment where God, or the spirits, whatever, where your life might be judged at this point. And then it gets us to the world card, which would generally mean your ultimate enlightenment, or that you've now reached the end of your life, or that kind of thing, or you're able to meet up with heaven, or have everything. You've gone through all of life's journey now, and you've reached the ultimate end. We will discuss each of these cards in more depth in future videos, so don't worry about that for now. It was just kind of an overview to give you an idea of how they're looked at. Okay. So for the next video, we will be talking about the Suit of Wands, and so we look forward to seeing you for that video. Remember, give the channel a thumbs up, share with your friends and family, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.